Welcome, my friends. We are with the man, the Thrasher from Emphatic Elite, a CWL Elite Invite only clan. We're talking about Town Hall 9 base building. Welcome to the show. My friend Thrasher is here. We're talking about Town Hall 9 bases, and he's going to give us an in-depth view of how to build bases, what to look for, and how to become, honestly, the pro in the clashing community. So Thrasher, take it away, and we are looking at his base here, and just kind of give us your thoughts on Town Hall 9 base building and kind of how you go about doing it.
Yeah, sure. So Town Hall 9 base building, it's like, in my opinion, the start of where complicated base building starts, and usually for at least these bases nowadays in the current meta, a lot of bases consist of single giant bombs. As you can see on my base, they're all spread out and everything, and all of the springs are usually between 2-point defenses, usually in the middle, to try and get the 3 hogs per spring trap, because that's usually nowadays how you defend a good hog attack. And then another attribute of at least most bases anyways are the wizard towers and air defenses are all spread. So in the wizard tower range, there usually isn't an air defense, because that way when a hound comes in or anything, to hounds or even loons, that way if you have a distraction loon, it's not going to distract the wizard tower from getting that really big clump of loons. I think that's really critical. I think people realize, like, wizard towers will stop hogs and loons in their tracks. I think having them away from the air defenses is a great idea. Yeah, it definitely helps a lot. Another thing that's been really key as of lately since this last update is, I'd say at least 90% of expos on Town 9 bases are on both ground and air. Just because of how powerful loons are, you need that extra little bit of power against them.
So on all your bases that you build, so you always put the expos to air?
Yep, always. But prior to this last loon update, occasionally I'd put double ground to stop green charges, but nowadays anymore you want to defend the Lalo portion rather than the queen charge, since they also have that cannon buff to help.
So tell us maybe a little about the hero placement. Now, where should you put your heroes, and kind of their importance on the base building side?
Yeah, for quite a while, Archer Queen bunkers have been the go-to thing for Town 9 base building, which usually means a regular bunker will be queen in the center and about a 3 or 4 tile buffer to the walls. As you can see in this one, it's a nice big square. And that way, the Archer Queen, when she shoots any oncoming troops or anything like that, she's going to stand behind the wall and forces your attacker to break in. And if they are going to get your Archer Queen, which is the most critical hero to get when you're attacking, it forces them to come at a certain angle. It's not like when Elite War Clans and FGC really got started, where you'd find a lot of central queens, and it didn't take very long for them to figure out that was pretty weak, just because you come from any angle and still be able to get the Archer Queen. With the Barbarian King, it's pretty, I guess, personal preference. Some guys really like to keep him away from the Archer Queen. That way they have a dual threat. So your Barbarian King can really beat up on hogs usually, and snag some archers, Archer Queen, any cleanup like that. But anymore, I usually prefer him to protect the queen, make the trade for your Archer Queen a little bit more difficult.
No, yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah, and anymore, since the skeleton spells and everything like that, you'll notice that I have a wizard tower in my Archer Queen bunker, just because if I didn't, a lot of attacks after the hog buff was you drop all the hogs in the Archer Queen bunker, And if there's no wizard towers or not a bomb tower there, you can drop 2 skeleton spells, kill the queen, and no more threat. And if you have a stoned entry, so 3 golems and some bowlers, you take out half the base that way, and your hogs kind of just clean up in a sense.
No, yeah, that's good. So, I mean, I think it's important to realize that obviously even a great base builder like yourself from Emphatic Elite is not, I mean, you're going to get 3-starred. So how do you, I guess let's get into when you build a base, because I don't think many people know how to build a base. I don't really build bases. I take skeletons of bases and we work them, but how do you visualize the base building? Like when you're placing down, like, is it in your head? You sketch it out, or what's kind of your process there?
Anymore, I usually get kind of a idea in my mind of how I kind of want the base to look. So this one, I had the idea of having the looping air defenses. So there's all 4 of them are on the opposite side of the Archer Queen, like the old meta way back like a year or so ago. But they're all walkable, which wasn't usually a thing. Because with this, it doesn't make an Archer Queen walk loon really easy, because to get more than 1 air defense and the queen takes nearly a walk of half the base, which isn't an easy feat. So it requires more skill on the Lalu portion, or just altogether a different attack. And with this, I just kind of started with the core usually, or Archqueen Bunker. I kind of switched it up anymore, but then I usually use probably a couple arch towers or something like that for measurement, and just loop around the base and create my skeleton of sorts. And after that, I fill in the air defenses and maneuver them around for good expo placement. Anymore, expos are definitely not very close to Archer Queen, just for the spread of the DPS around the base.
Do you find that more spread out bases are better these days in the meta, or more compact bases?
Definitely more compact bases seem to be working. I'm just more of a, I guess, laxy builder, so I usually build a little bit more spreader bases than most people usually like to see, which usually ends up them getting air wrecked pretty easily. But with this base, if you notice down at the 6 o'clock corner, I have all 4 of my Teslas there. Pretty trolling maneuver, but it forces and makes it to where if the attacker doesn't spot that and is really kind of questioning whether Teslas are there or not, they'll go through the whole entire attack, drop all their cleanup troops and everything, and then you have a load full of loons or hogs coming in for the Teslas, and it really spans out how much time you have for cleanup. It really shortens that, especially with all of these other buildings along the sides that I have too.
Do you think having the troll Tesla farm is a danger for cleanup on you? So, for fresh hits are always hard, but since they'll know it on the second attack, are you more vulnerable to the 3-star, or what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know when a couple times, at least when I use this first in the CWL Light War against Castle Pebble, and the first attack, the Troll Tesla totally screwed him up. He did a lot low. All the loons came down here. I'm pretty sure most of them just got totally vaporized. There might have been a few left for cleanup, but since the loons were so slow in getting to the Teslas, it totally stopped him. I think he got high 80s or low 90s on an attack, and then it allows for somebody, since they know it's there, then I either got cleared on the second or third hit, just because you can drop a few hogs on the Teslas and call it good, or you start your Archer Queen walk from there and you basically get huge value from that. Not to mention there's 2 air defenses right there and an expo, so it made for an easy cleanup. But in today's meta, usually if you defend once as a Talon 9, you've done your job and it's kind of move on, because usually nowadays you want to try and make it so your enemy has less scouts than you, so you can get the more 10v10 triples and stuff like that to give you the win.
Now, that's kind of had the thought of playing tricks on your enemy. Do you find, like, I agree that if you can defend once, that's huge as a Town Hall 9, especially because it's so, with Hogs so powerful and heck, Loon's so powerful. Where do you kind of see base building going? Do you feel like more bases should play tricks on attackers, or is that the risky move? I guess it's the risk reward. Like, where do you stand? Like, going risky or just kind of playing it safe on the base building?
Yeah, I know for about the last, I'd say, not year, 6 months or so, I think North Remembers first started doing it. It was kind of trolley Teslas, where Teslas would be on the outside corner to pull golems and make them clump up to where it makes it so golems leave your wizards behind. You can't complete your funnel, and you basically have to come up with a new plan on the run, and makes you fail that way. While this is a lot more of an extreme version of it, it definitely has been the way to go with Talon 9 base building to get a defense. Otherwise, you can just get ran straight through if the attack is right.
Yeah. Is there anything else about this base you wanted to talk about, or how you built this base, or anything like that before because I know you have another base that you wanted to show us.
I know with this base, the first trash buildings I placed were any storages I had left over in my army camps. Usually with my army camps, I try to place them over by the air defenses if I have exposed air defenses, because it'll keep it from an easy minion or air funnel, which is usually what keeps clears them, and the storages to make sure that if an enemy wants to walk my air defenses, they have to go to the storages, and it takes just a tad bit extra time for them to do that. Not to mention harder to make the funnel and so on. That's also why, if you notice, I have a couple of cannons at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock exposed, just to draw golems in and force them to break in at certain points on the base.
Now, I noticed in a lot of Town Hall 10s, they usually put their mortars on the outside. Do you think Town Hall 9s, you should have your mortars on the inside rather than the outside, or do you see Town Hall 9s putting mortars on the outside too?
It kind of goes vice versa. On this base, I'm pretty sure I needed space fillers, so if I need space fillers, I usually end up putting mortars on the inside, but if I can help it, I usually put them on the outside, which is what you'll see on the next base. You'll see that I have, I think, 3 outside and 1 inside. I needed a space filler for a good spring trap setup, and the other 3 didn't really need, so I just threw them outside for anchors for the golems.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, how about you switch to the new base, and then we'll look at it, and then you can tell us about it and any other notes that you have and stuff.
Yeah, I will definitely say is a big part about defending air attacks anymore is air sweeper positions. If you don't have your air sweepers pointed in the generally good direction, you'll get a lalo from the back end of a sweeper, and it makes the sweeper totally useless and only helps the attacker. So it definitely takes some practice to get used to, and a little bit of thought to kind of think of where the attacker will come from, so you can plan accordingly.
Well, yeah, let's actually talk maybe about that. Or is this, I guess when you're looking at a base, what makes it anti-air? I guess we first talk about that, and then what makes it anti-ground, which is usually hogs. Say this base, looking at it, I have an idea, but tell us what kind of, is this anti-air, anti-ground sort of base?
Really, this is supposed to be kind of both, but more towards air. Air's been a strong attack for me lately, so I usually try to defend that, Hogs aren't totally, I guess, mainstream at the moment. They're definitely growing in popularity because of all the anti-air bases that come up. You can tell it's kind of anti-air just because my air defense spread. They're all the way from the queen and all walkable. While if you're trying to make more of a traditional type of base, you'll usually have your air defenses overlapping, so it totally destroys hounds and not walkable. That way it forces a kill squad or an archer queen to break in and jump spells and everything like that. So more investment to get the air defenses rather than outside where you're kind of almost forcing the hounds not to pop and having the enemy suffer from lack of cleanup.
Very cool. Now, maybe let's talk about CC. Does it matter, depending on the base, what you have in the CC, or do you usually run with the same CC as a 9?
As a 9, you can get really playful with the CC. So with this base, this war, I'm running a Hound CC. Because of kind of the easy hero kill, I want something that can distract an Archer Queen and make her pay for that, because I have my King exposed, a cannon, an Archer Tower, or a couple Archer Towers and a Tesla. So depending on what angle they'll come from, they're going to have a lot of DPS on it, and if the Hound comes, it's going to soak up a lot of time for the Queen, and they're going to be forced to either use the ability and the poison for the pops, or the rage and a poison. So it makes it harder for them and more time consuming on that end of things anyways. While I know sometimes for a bit I ran a baby dragon, 8 archers, 8 goblins, and a wizard CC. It's really kind of a long drawn out CC, make a harder lure, especially if my CC, like on the other base, was centered and everything. So if they try to lure it, they get a long sprawled out lure, so it makes some troops won't get into the poison, other troops will stay in the poison in different speeds, so it tends to make heroes and troops stutter with attacking, which is pretty nice as a defender anyways.
Now, when you design your bases, are you trying to push people to enter in on a base? Because obviously entering on the right side of the base is a huge deal. I think a lot of people think, oh, it doesn't really matter where I enter, but in a lot of bases it does. So is that going through your mind as you're base building, trying to make them come at a certain angle?
Yeah, I think more likely than not, I'm usually trying to, at any given entry point, I'm usually trying not to give away too much to the attacker, because it would be pretty easy for me to put 2 air defenses really close together, or put an air defense or 2 by the Archer Queen, or if you notice, my air sweepers, air defenses, and expos are all rather kind of sprawled out, while sometimes somebody will have both an air defense, an air sweeper, and an expo all in one compartment, which makes really nice for a charge to come in. You get huge value for an air attack, and if the Archer Queen's anywhere close, you kind of give more weight that way. While in this one, I kind of tried to spread out all my threats to make it so if they enter in from one area, sure, they'll get air defense, a sweeper, but questionable if they're going to get an expo, and so on and so forth.
No, that's good. So actually, let's take this base. How would you actually enter in on the base, or like where do you find your weak spot? Because on this,
my weak spot would probably be either my inlet or over at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, you have some funneling issues because of the 7 o'clock mortar that's exposed, and the 10 o'clock mortar and the 9 o'clock Tesla. It's going to pull your golems away from the funnel, but there's not a whole bunch of DPS to stop the funnel from being made. And say coming from the 8 o'clock, it's an easy jump into that Wizard Tower Expo area. You rage some bowlers up, you get 2 air defenses, an expo, sweeper, a good air value for a nice back end loon portion, or even a hog portion, really.
No, yeah. Is there anything? What other thoughts did you have? I know you had some notes down that you wanted to talk about this base, or just Town Hall 9 base building in general, or anything like that.
Yeah, I didn't do on this base, but a lot lately had been popular is 9x9 expo compartments, which is basically an apartment all by itself with a 2-tile buffer between its walls all around, which makes loon pathing. It's kind of like Town Hall 10 base building when you have the Inferno Tower islands. Town 9s have been doing that, which I kind of came up with way back when, but it was kind of to kind of screw up loon pathing, because if after the expo buff, where level 3 expos now do 90 damage per second, they do quite a little bit more than outer towers. So if loons never get to the expo and they're on air and ground, then they can do some good damage to loons, and usually by the time they get to the expos, there's few, if not none, left to take it down, especially with how high HP they are. Along with that, if you notice on both these bases that I've shown, if you look in the core, there is little to no value there. In this one, there's a Wizard Tower Expo and storages, and a couple traps. A couple times you'll have a wild one where you'll have a Tesla farm in the core, which is usually pretty abnormal because most Tesla farms will be outside Tesla farms anymore on Town 9s. But besides that, it's all about really spreading your threats and making it to where an attacker can't attack one area of your base and get half of the important things and leave the rest of the armed camp space just to willy-nilly go about the base.
Yeah, I actually noticed in this that usually you don't see storages in the middle of bases, and I guess this is to slow down kill squads or big golem pushes. Is that, or what is kind of is that kind of a deterrent?
It's definitely to kind of deter and manipulate the pathing of defensive targeting groups. So if a Lalo is coming in from, say, 11 o'clock, the loons are going to hit the air defense and air sweeper. But instead of going in to where the core is right now, if their defense is where the storages were, they'd go into the core, take out the Wizard Tower Expo, and get a lot more of those threats dealt with directly, while this time they're going to loop around those and have to come back around, and the whole entire time they're doing damage to them. It's a kind of a roundabout way of doing the same thing that the 9x9 expo departments do, just a lot more traditional and easier to do, in my opinion, without the huge space commitment of the 9x9 have.
No, yeah, that's actually brilliant, because I mean, even with your your Teslas, they'll, if they don't clear them, the loons will go there. Like, I see what you're saying, and wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah,
and quality building right there, folks.
Yeah. If you notice about this base, though, is I still have a Troll Tesla, but it's not by the Builder Hut or any other buildings, because since that's what the meta is for Town 9 bases, is a lot of people anymore start clearing the Builder Huts that are around the outside first, and if there's a Tesla, they'll bring an extra hog or an extra loon. And with Teslas, if you have a level 6 loon, all it has to do is have one drop and a death on it. Death damage, and it kills the Tesla. So it's a 5-for-1 trade, or 1-for-1 trade. It makes it pretty, at least an even value, in my opinion, for it, which is kind of dangerous for second hits if you have exposed Teslas on the builder huts or on the corners. I know sometimes if they're positioned right, you can drop your loon, and when it dies, it won't only kill the Tesla, but it'll kill the builder hut it's next to. And because of that, sometimes people have done air mines by their Troll Teslas, which I almost did on this base, but decided not to because everybody's checking for Teslas now around the outside.
Yeah. No, I've seen that a lot too. Well, man, this is some really good stuff here. We definitely know what you're talking about. Now, is there anything you wanted to say before we ended it, or anything just in general, tips or things that help people build bases or look at bases?
I will definitely say probably the hardest part about defending air attacks anyways is air bombs. Air bombs, you really have to go into the attacker's mind and see how you would, as an attacker, send in a hound and where it'd pass. Because more times than not, if you have an air bomb, you really want that air bomb to target the looms and get that splash damage on that nice big clump. So a wizard tower gets a couple hits in and the whole clump dies and totally stops attack dead even. Anymore, I'd definitely say with accordance to ground attacks, keep those giant bombs at singles and spread. The doubles have no value anymore after they buffed hogs again.
Cool.
It's definitely something to watch out for.
Well, awesome, Thrasher. I appreciate you coming on and telling us. I learned a lot, and I think everyone who's watching in Town Hall 9's learned a lot, and that's why you're a part of an elite clan. And yeah, I appreciate it. Did you have anything else to say, or did you say everything?
Not really a whole lot, just besides the fact that once you get good at bases, it doesn't take long to make bases like this one. Usually on average, it takes me 10 to 20 minutes to make a Town Hall 9 base, which for a big war or anything like that isn't too big of a commitment. I know some people, when they first start, will spend an hour making a base, but it's that time that you commit into making the base that pays off later when you only spend 10 minutes on a base. And if a friend needs help making a base, you can make another one in 10 minutes and help a friend out if they need it and stuff like that, because of life and happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, you're being the good man for your clan, helping them out. Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and it's been fun, and we'll have to do it again one day, and you can tell us more about the Town Hall 9. Maybe we'll show your attacks in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me on. I know here in probably next month or so, I'm gonna finally hit the Town Hall 10 button, so I'll be getting more into Town Hall 10 base building here soon, hopefully.
Sweet. I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Thanks.
Well, man, that was some good stuff. Hopefully, guys, it helped you, because Thrasher, Emphatic Elite, if you don't know, CWL Invite, they are powerhouse, really great clan. Thrasher knows what he's talking about. And yeah, hopefully this helped you. And I want to continue the expert series. I'm going to do Town Hall 10 stuff, Town Hall 11, more Town Hall 9, attacking, defenses, all kinds of cool stuff coming forward. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. See you next time. Halo out.